Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Pavla Šindlerová and I'm student of Institute of Education and Social Studies at Palacky University in Olomouc, and I would like to present you my post, which name is Distance Education, Progress in Modern Education or Another Paradox in the Educational Process. First, I would like to present you the main goals of the post. It's distance education, e-learning, paradoxes of education, and practice. The distance education is currently a very frequently discussed topic. Not only its quality, its impact on students, teachers, but also its provision and guidance. Although today's emphasis is placed on modern technologies, new approaches, it turned out that the sudden transitions from classical to purely distance education was a big problem not only for teachers, but also for students. These complications concern not only the equipment of the teachers themselves, but also the pupils who often did not have the quality technical background to be able to adapt quickly to distance learning, which was ordered in the Czech Republic from day to day in March 2020. The distance education is a form of study that is mediated through the media. For example, telephone, radio, television, now increasingly computer, especially the internet. At secondary and higher vocational schools, it means independent study carried out mainly or entirely through information technology or associated with individual consultation. Distance education can take place in the form of online or offline teaching. The principal decided on the specific internal rules of the organization of teaching, mixed distance and full time at the school with regard to the current possibility and condition of the school. The distance education have the most common form of distance learning is e-learning. It can take place in asynchronous or synchronous teaching, but for secondary school it's more specific synchronous teaching because it's more comfortably for teachers and students that they can see face to face by internet or online platform, for example Teams, Zoom, Big Blue Button, and so on. Distance education has more positive but more negative than positive for secondary education. The distance education is more comfortably for higher education, but now we are in secondary education and I would like to present you some positive. Some positive will be, for example, flexibility, the development of students' independence, development of critical thinking, accessibility. Pupils do not have to travel, for example, to school. Examination in some subjects it's suppressed, for example music education or art education. But the negative are more, for example, better technical background, bad internet connection, bad control of pupils present in class, inability to concentrate for a long time while working on a computer, administrative burden for teachers, great demands on the creativity of the teachers and the complexity of preparation for teaching, motivation and growing aversions to distance education, a feeling of loneliness that can gradually mask the initial enthusiasm for the relatively great flexibility and individualization of distance learning. A large number of tasks and curricula that students suddenly have to handle on their own, and initial habits that are necessary for self-study. This problem is more typical for children who are in the first class, second class. I think that they have more problems with self-study. How I said, the critical thinking is more necessary for students at secondary school and for all students, we can say. And critical thinking is an intellectually disciplined process of active and skillful conceptualization, application, analysis, synthesis, or evaluation of information obtained or generated by means of observation, experience, reflections, thinking, and communication as a guide to conviction and action. In its basic form, it is based on universal values such as clarity, precision, consistency, relevance, persuasion, depth, width, and equity of truth. Now I would like to say you something about paradoxes of education. Antinomies or paradoxes of education are concepts that refer to non-standard situations that teachers may encounter in the process of education without being fully prepared. The authors who deal with the paradoxes of education are Eugen Fink, Radim Palouš, Olivier Rebul, Antonín Staněk for Czech Republic. The activities of a single teacher often bring completely different results. I think it's really for distance education, I think it's really validity, these sentences. For example, for us is more necessary antinomy of Olivier Rebul and his uncenterly and expertises of the teacher. He say, in the context of technically supported education, teaching activity appears as a process of achieving a personal and later well-defined general objective, and as a process which is open to objective evaluation method. Methodology. The deal of my dissertation is paradoxes of education and their influence on the educational process. As a pilot research, we are planning a form of qualitative research, namely a focus group. The focus group is therefore a research method by which we obtain data using group interactions that arise spontaneously and take place in a debate on a pretended topic. The great advantage of a focus group is the connection within a depth individual interview, which allows the researcher to compare group values and scenarios with the individual values and scenarios. The focus group method is relatively difficult to prepare, but it brings many advantages in evaluations. The deal group has 6 to 8 members depending on the specific of the research. The questions will be formulated in order to find out the current situation within the attitudes of teachers in the educational process, and at the same time to define what are the most common problems that concern them. The results will then be evaluated by relevant methods. So, conclusion. In distance learning, we find many paradoxes of education and problems that teachers have to deal with. And it's necessary to motivate students and constantly learn in the field of critical thinking, media education, but also to develop their competencies in the field of lessons management. I thank you for your attention.